headsets and you can let Joe. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Carrie Schuling. I'm the Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs at Northern Michigan University. A lot of people don't know what a provost does, but basically my job is over everything that's related to academics on campus. I work very closely with faculty. I work very closely with Chris Greer, our Dean of Students, who is here today, and other individuals across our campus. Chris and I are here today to talk to you and answer questions that we routinely receive from parents and students about different things that occur on campus. And hopefully our answers will help you feel more comfortable when you and your child and our prospective students arrive here on campus this fall. I'd like to mention that there's several things that can make a student feel very engaged and comfortable when they arrive and be successful when they're here. I'd also have to tell you, full disclosure, I arrived on this campus back in 1969, and I would gladly tell you that a lot has changed, but there are some significant things that really haven't changed. And one of those is, to be successful, it's important to be engaged. Faculty want to know their students here. So they welcome students into their office, they have open door policies, they reach out to their students. And I always tell students there's a good and bad to this, you know, because they always know how you're doing in class. We also have wonderful embedded advisors, which Chris will probably talk about. But those advisors also are there to support the student as they're moving through their classes, to help them if there's questions or concerns, or they want to change their major, and some of those kinds of things. The other thing is, it's really important to try new things. Be willing to try things that are different. I was a city girl when I arrived in the Upper Peninsula. I had never been to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan before I came for my own orientation. And one of the wonderful things about being here was trying new things. Meeting people who were from the Upper Peninsula was extremely helpful for me. Trying pasties for the first time, which I absolutely love, and they're loaded with calories, so I don't know how you would feel about that. But try new things, meet new people. It's also really important to ask questions and join clubs. We have over 300 clubs on our campus, so there's lots of opportunities for students to get engaged. I'm going to turn it over to Chris now.
Okay, great. Hi everyone, I'm Chris Greer. I'm the Assistant Vice President and Dean of Students here at Northern. I'm very happy that you joined us today. We've been receiving questions from you, and we'll get to those in just a bit. If you have a question that isn't covered, please email orientation, and they can be reached at orient at nmu.edu, and you can expect an email response in just a few days. So you're getting ready to send your students off to college soon, and we hope that you're talking to them about some things that can help them be successful. I have been you 4 times. They all survived. They all graduated. It took some much longer than others, but they all did it. And I learned a lot as a parent. One of the things I learned is that it's okay for students to be anxious or upset or angry or uncomfortable or sad at times. They need to learn what to do when things don't go well. And it's important for you to start talking to your students about solving their own problems, dealing with situational anxiety and depression, taking responsibility for themselves, and learning from their mistakes. There are so many resources here for our students, all designed to help them be successful. And if they don't know where to start, they can come to my office, the Dean of Students office in Hedgecock, and we will help them. And if they talk to you about a problem and you don't know what to tell them, just give my office a call. We'll give you the information to pass along to your student. You'll look brilliant, and we're very happy to do that. We are all here to help them, and we're all here to help you. We welcome your calls and emails and are happy to help, and you really are not bothering us. Everybody starts off the conversation with us saying, I'm really sorry to be bothering you. You're not bothering us at all. Our goal for today and for the series of modules that we've created for you is to help you get to know Northern, and so that, as Carrie said, you feel comfortable leaving your student here in August. The purpose of this next part is to get you to start thinking about important issues. During face-to-face orientation in the summer, so pre-COVID, the students took their first college quiz. We have the answers from 2019. That seems so long ago. The answers don't change very much from year to year, so the chances are pretty good that this incoming class would have answered these questions in exactly the same way. We're going to put the questions up on the screen. So what I'd like you to do is, in your head, choose the answer that you think the majority of the incoming students would choose. And then I'll let you know what they actually chose. Okay, question 1. Members of this freshman class will each spend how much per week on entertainment and incidental expenses during their first semester in college? So the students said B, $20. You're probably celebrating, thinking that's reasonable. Good luck. I hope that that is exactly what happens, but we have a lot of students that end up spending a little more than that because we haven't had the talk with them about how much they really have to spend on extraneous things. So you might want to talk about how to keep track of their expenses and how much spending money they really have. Okay, number 2. My roommate and I will be most likely to disagree about. Yes, let's see how early or late they sleep. This was a real aberration this year in 2019. Usually they're worried about how clean their room's going to be, and we joke a lot about that. The parents think that's hysterical. But anyway, that group in 2019 was worried about roommates not respecting their need for sleep or their schedule. Okay, number 3, the amount of alcohol, if any, by members of this freshman class will be, they actually do say 0 drinks a week. And the parents usually burst out into laughter when they see that answer. But they do say that. I think they realize somebody's going to look at it. But that is what they tell us. Our students really don't, our underage students really don't drink that much. We do a survey every semester, and anywhere from 28 to 30% of our students will say that they haven't had an alcoholic drink in 30 days. And that includes all of our students. So that would include a 30-year-old student is answering that. So it is possible that your son or daughter is fully intending not to drink, and I applaud that, believe me. The interesting thing about the answers to that question is that we get percentages on all of these, and the percentage of students that answered 4 or more drinks a week was very close to the percentage of students who are going to spend $40 or more a week. So we always say those students need to get a part-time job on campus so that they can pay for all of this. But okay, so that's the alcohol question. Question number 4, the percentage of entering freshmen who have declared an academic major or will do so during their academic session. The answer is 75%. And actually it was close to 87%, I think. But the thing about this is about 75% of them will change their major. And that's okay. We're fully prepared to help them do some investigation, do some research into different majors on campus, maybe what they want to do with their life. Our advisors are ready, willing, and able to help students. So the fact that they don't stick with the major that they've chosen when they enter is no big deal. So don't freak out if they tell you that they're changing their majors. Okay, number 5. Freshmen intend to contact their parents how many times during their first semester? So the students said 2 or 3 times per week. Now, the research shows that it's actually more like 10 to 15 times a day. Usually a gasp from the parents when I say that. But you had to think about cell phones and texting. And many students will just text to say hi, to say that they got a good grade on a test, that their lecture was interesting, whatever it might be. They really do stay in touch with you. So if you have to figure out, again, if what the level is that you're comfortable with and what your child is comfortable with. So you might want to set up that expectation now as to how often you expect to hear from them. Okay, number 6, freshmen plan to study how many hours per week during their first semester of enrollment? Okay, the students said B, 16 to 25 hours. Now, you're probably celebrating, right? Because you're thinking, my son or daughter does not study that much in high school, and surely that will be enough. It is not enough. The rule of thumb for college-going students is that they should study 2 hours a week for every credit hour that they're carrying. So most of our students will carry 16 credits, so they should be studying 32 hours a week. And then if we get into hard science, if they're in chemistry, physics, biology, that can go up to 4 to 5 hours a week of study time per credit. So while 16 to 25 hours sounds great, probably not enough. And we're telling the students this during orientation, but really we're throwing so much information at them. If there's one thing that you could re-emphasize for us, it would be this, that they really need to spend a lot of time studying. We go through this big explanation with them about how much time they're going to have. They all think they're not going to have time to study. We plug in 32 hours a week of study time, plus how long they're in class, 16 hours a week in class, plus eating, plus sleeping, plus showering. We do this big chart for them, and they still have over 40 hours a week of usable time. So that's the time that they can use for joining a student organization, doing intramural sports, being on a club sport team, getting a part-time job, anything like that off campus, anything like that that they want to build into their schedule. Okay, number 7. Which of the following subjects is likely to cause the greatest amount of disagreement between freshmen and their parents? The students said money. The parents usually say D, communication or lack of with home. But after what I just told you in that prior question, maybe that's not a problem anymore. But the students are worried about money. They know that college is an expensive proposition. They are worried about student loans. We have plenty of people in the financial aid office who can help students figure out the money part of this. There is work study possible, and that depends on their FAFSA, but work study jobs are available on campus. So students just really need to be talking to us if they are concerned about paying for school. Okay, number 8. What grade point average do members of the freshman class predict they will earn for the fall semester? Yes, the students said A. We love that. You know, hope springs eternal. They think they're going to be 4.0 students. That would be wonderful. Usually the parents will say B, possibly a little more realistic. But our students do quite well their first semester here. Over a 3-point, definitely. So over a B average in their first semester. So we have a lot of tutoring services on campus. The advisors keep up with them. The faculty, as Carrie said, keep up with them, and we really work hard with our students so that they can be successful in the classroom. Number 9, members of the freshman class expect to earn their college degrees in. Yes, everybody wants to graduate in 4 years, right? They do, you certainly want them to, we want them to, but the national average is 5.5 years. So do not freak out if they don't graduate in 4 years. Of my 4 children, 2 graduated in 4 years, 1 graduated in 5 years, and 1 graduated in about 10 years. So it's all over the place, and it's nothing to really worry about. Of course, we understand the financial side of that. And so that's where we are talking to the students about, you know, it's not as easy as just saying, I'm going to take 5 years. That adds to your student debt if you're taking out loans. So we're talking to them about that. We're not cavalier about that. I want you to know that. Okay, and then number 10, Which of the following is of greatest concern to this freshman class as it anticipates its first year of college? The student said all of the above. And when you look at this list, these are really good things to talk to your student about because they are worried. They're worried about fitting in. They're worried about finding friends. They're worried about being homesick. Being homesick is not weird. I think it's something like over 60% of students nationwide report being homesick. So that's perfectly normal. They're worried about being unable to keep up with classes. That's where we need to have the discussion about how long they should be studying. And then, as we said, we know they're worried about attending. So this is just a good list. Maybe you want to write down so that you can hit those with your students. We hope that you're starting to think about the tough issues that may be coming and, as I said, making note of the talking points for the next month you have with your student. They're going to be leaving your house before you know it, and you want them to be as prepared as possible. Okay, I think we're now ready to start answering the questions we've received. Are you ready, Carrie?
Ready.
Okay,
Ready.
I think I'll read the questions. Carrie will answer the ones that she wants to answer. She'll throw back the ones to me that she wants me to answer, and we'll just go that way. Okay, so first of all, there were a bunch of COVID-19 questions, of course. So does my student have to wear a mask on campus?
So the answer to that is generally no, unless your student is not vaccinated. We follow the CDC guidelines and recommendations, and currently those recommendations say if you are not vaccinated, then wear a mask. So that's in the dorms and in the classroom. You know, those recommendations change. We watch them very, very carefully here. We had 11 teams of individuals that were very focused on keeping our students and our staff and our faculty safe last year. We did very, very well, which we're extremely grateful for, and we want to keep it that way. So we're always watching the CDC guidelines. We have regular updates about COVID and what's the best thing going forward.
Will there be any mass screening tests during fall semester?
At this time, there's no plan for mass screening tests. But if your student is not feeling well, has signs or symptoms, they can be tested at our health center.
Can my student get their COVID vaccine on campus?
Absolutely. The health center has vaccines available. And right now, as I understand it, there's some discussion of being able to offer vaccinations for those who want them when your student arrives on campus and is checking in. So opportunities for vaccination definitely available.
Will we be notified if there is a rise in COVID cases? And, because I think the answer is probably the same, Carrie, for this, where can we get information about COVID regulations on campus?
We have a website, it's right off the nmu.edu website called Safe on Campus, and all of the information about infection on campus with COVID, how many cases we have, all of that is right on the Safe on Campus website. The other piece of this that I think is important for you to know is our president sends really regular newsletters to parents and to students that updates on not only COVID, but there's always an update on it about where it's at. So you'll probably see this come in your email. It's important to read it in entirety. He's very careful to detail everything that's going on with it. And as always, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
The president's email to parents is called the Parent Partnership newsletter, and you can go on the president's webpage and click on Parent Partnership, submit your email address, and then you'll get all the emails that he sends out from that time on. So that's a good thing to do because you'll get information quickly that way. Okay, I think I'm going to take some of the advising ones. So can my students suggest the classes they would like instead of waiting for their advisor to recommend? We work with each academic department to build what we call first-year experience blocks that are specific to each major. So if your son or daughter has declared a major, they will be put into a block. So placing students in the courses that their department believes are most important for first semester students to be in is our guiding method of getting students in the class that they want. And the follow-up question was, can my student change their schedule that was given to them at orientation? Maybe. If the student wants to switch around a general education course, we can try and accommodate that. But if it's a major course, probably not, because the department feels that that's the course that they should be in. So that gets dicier. But if a student is coming in with transfer credit or with AP credit, we will certainly move the students to the next level of that course. So you can be assured they don't need to repeat anything that they've already taken. If they're concerned about that, they should contact their advisor right away so that we can make the changes. Where the courses, some of those Gen Ed courses fill up, that's another problem with switching, because the centralized advising office gets first dibs on a lot of the freshman classes, and so we've been using those seats. So there might not be room to move at this point. How often will my student meet with their advisor? Well, they can meet with their advisor as often as they want. We do require small group meetings in the second or third week of the semester, and then at least one-on-one, but the students are in the driver's seat about that. They can meet with their advisor as often as they want. So there's no problem there. Easy to schedule an appointment, and they've learned all of that. If they ever run into a problem and they want to run it by someone, there's always walk-in duty people in the advising office. So they can always just walk in and talk to an advisor. Will I have access to my students' class schedule, grades, and advisor? This is a FERPA question, Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and in my module on the parent orientation website, I go into this in greater detail, but students can give you access to certain things, but if they don't, we cannot give you much information. So once a student, the first day of class, we can only give academic information to the student, and only if they sign a release can we give it to you. So just so you know, but there's more information in my little module. Okay, housing. Maybe I'll start with that too, Carrie, and then if you...
Sounds good.
Okay. When can students move into the dorms? Thursday, August 19th is the first date on contract. And then they can come, that's, as I said, Thursday, they can come Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We really recommend that new students come on Thursday or Friday because there's lots of activities going on. That's when the students are really going to meet their fellow students, take part in the fun events at night and during the day. So if at all possible, Thursday, Friday would be great. When will my student find out who their roommate is? You will get an email, or the student, sorry, will get an email to their NMU email account. They should be checking their NMU email account regularly at this point because we're sending them stuff. So they'll get it to their email account confirming their room placement, and that will be the first week of August. However, we don't give the name of their roommate, but they can go into their portal, their housing portal, and if they have already selected a room, they can see who's sharing the room with them. So it's kind of a back way in, but we don't give the names out in the email. Can my student have a loft? Okay, this is a little, yes, they can have a loft. That's the short answer, yes, but let me give you the details. When they get their email the first week of August, that confirms their placement. There will be information on lofts included in that. And there's a link to request a loft. So they can click on that and say that they want a loft. They are available first come, first serve. And the students are charged $70 for the year. Now the next question is, can they build their own? No, they cannot, because for liability reasons, we need to know that these lofts are safe. And so we provide, we assemble them And our goal is to have them up before move-in weekend. However, sometimes we get really late requests, and so that's not going to happen, but we'll get them up within the first week of classes. So, but students cannot build their own lofts. Can parents help their student move in? Right now, we think so. We're kind of waiting for the official green light on that, but we can't figure out a reason why you wouldn't be able to at this point unless the COVID situation changes drastically. So for right now, yes, but you'll have to bear with us because things can change daily. So it'll be better than it was last year, I can tell you that, but we're just not sure what it's going to look like. What is provided in the dorm rooms? Okay, so here's what's in a dorm room. Shared room comes with 2 extra long twin beds. So that we did have a question about mattress size, extra long, twin. 8 dresser drawers, 2 desks, 2 wastebaskets, 1 recycle bin, 1 shower curtain, and window treatments. So that's what comes for the students already in their room. Cleaning supplies, no, we do not provide cleaning supplies for our students, but we do, so not like cleaning like spray bottles and that kind of stuff. We don't supply that, but they can check out vacuums and mops and that kind of stuff from the front desk. Do the residence halls have a curfew? No, we don't have a curfew in the residence halls for any of our students. Can students have friends stay in their dorm room overnight? Yes. We have an overnight guest policy that everybody should read, and that means that you can have a guest, but the guest can't stay more than 3 nights in a row. And an overnight guest form must be signed by the roommates and suite mates. And then the RD gives final approval for that guest. But yes, they can have guests in their room. And then security measures. This is really important, I know, for many parents. What's the security look like in the halls? The residence halls are locked 24/7. So they have to use their ID to enter. They have to swipe their ID to enter their hallway too. And then they use their key or their fob, depending on which hall they live in. They'll either have a key or a fob to get into their own room. So that's the first thing. Our outside doors they're not locked 24/7 because of safety, actually, because if a student is trying to get away from a situation, we want them to be able to go into the residence halls, into the desk area, and ask for help. But they cannot get into the hallways. No one can without their card. Paraprofessional staff do security rounds, and the desk worker also has a security function. And we do have surveillance cameras in stairwells, entrances, lobbies, but not in the residential hallways for privacy reasons. But we do have a lot of cameras on campus. So, okay, I think maybe I covered all of the housing issues. All right.
We'll move on to dining.
Well, yeah, dining, the next best thing. My student has food allergies. Will they have safe options in the dining hall?
Yes, absolutely. Our dining halls, gone are the days when you got in line, you had a tray, and you went through the food line. No more. We have several different pods where there are a variety of options for if you're vegetarian, if you have a food allergy, what you might like, might not like. Several options are available, including very fresh foods like vegetables and fruits and things like that, along with the ice cream machine, which everybody loves, so yes.
The other thing that we have in the halls, and I was reminded of this just the other day when I saw our dietitian take a student and her family into this room. It's a special allergen-free locked room that they have to have a code for to get in. And so if a student is worried about allergies, they should talk to our dietitian, and he will explain how all of that works so that they can feel really comfortable and safe eating in the dining hall. Can we change our students' dining plan after the semester starts?
My understanding is the diet plan can be changed through the first week of the semester, but after that, no, it cannot be changed until the semester is over. It can be changed for the succeeding semester, but yeah, so they have a week to kind of figure out if that dining plan is going to work for them.
There is a lot of information, by the way, on in the modules that we did for you. So there's a whole dining one, and it goes into great detail about all of this. Are guests allowed to eat on campus?
Yes, guests can eat on campus. There is a cost to it, so they do have to pay for their meals. And this kind of leads in about can parents pay and eat when the students are at the dining hall, either visiting or at move-in. And yes, again, parents pay, but, and Chris will explain this, there's a barbecue on the Thursday of move-in week, and that's free. So
Yes,
you might want to
is.
talk about the barbecue a little bit.
Yeah, it's really fun, and some faculty and staff go down there too, so it's really a nice event for our families who are saying goodbye, and the food's very good. And then that is followed up by a party in the academic mall with games and music and all kinds of things happening. So there's a lot going on that day. You will notice when you watch the dining module that our different plans come with guest passes, and depending on the plan, the number changes of guest passes. But that's to allow students to take guests in who may be visiting them. Or it could just be a student that they know that lives off campus that doesn't have a dining pass. They can take them in and use one of their guest passes for them. So, okay, financial aid. How can I set up a payment plan for my student's account? Actually, the student has to do it. The student is learning how to do that, and I have information on in my module, and Mike Rotundo, who's the director of financial aid, also has it in his module, and the Student Service Center also has it in their module. So there's lots of information out there, but the student just goes into their account and can just choose one of the payment plans. It's very simple. And I didn't bring my notes, so I'm not going to go into great detail, but it's in my presentation. When will we know how much financial aid my student qualifies for? Those letters are going out daily. So as they determine a student's financial aid reward, they send it out. And I'm sure Mike will talk about that in his presentation. But and if you haven't heard from them, give them a call. That's absolutely fine. Give them a call and say, we just haven't heard. And because we're not at the first day of classes yet, they may be able to give you a little information about that. And when is tuition due each semester? It's basically due approximately 2 weeks before the semester starts. I think for fall semester it's due August 13th, and then usually in the the January semester, it's the beginning of January. So. Okay, public safety and transportation. Do first-year students need a car?
No, they really don't. We have a very, very walkable campus. We're a relatively small town. It's easy to get to different spots on and off campus, so I would say absolutely not. They do not need a car. They might like a car. Yeah. A lot of students like to have a car, yeah. But do they need one? No, I would say absolutely not. There is some local transportation available. There are some buses. We do have cabs. I think we have 2 cabs in town. And we do have, excuse me, Lyft and Uber, which changes at any given time. We used to have just Uber, but I've heard more recently we also have Lyft. So, and there is some bus service that will your student can use to get downstate. That's not always on a regular basis, so but it's a city bus or like a Greyhound.
Yes, that's not what the service is, but yes, it's like a Greyhound
service. It's like a Greyhound bus. I'm probably dating myself, sorry.
Yeah.
And there's also a bus that there's public transportation they can take to our airport, which you do need because it's quite a ways outside of town. So.
Yeah. Okay. My daughter has a late class that ends in the evening. How safe is it for her walking on campus late at night by herself?
I'm very happy to say we have an extremely safe campus. We're very proud of that. We have, obviously we have public safety patrolling the campus regularly. But we also have, if it's late at night, there is a escort service that any student can use to get to their dorm. We also have the blue light with the phones available. They're all over campus. You'll see it. Campus is extremely well lit at night. I know this. I walk my dog around here at night by myself, and so we're safe, but you also have to use caution. You have to be smart. You don't talk to strangers. The things that you probably brought your child up as far as them being safe. So.
Can my student bring their bike? And what about winter storage and bike racks?
Yes, absolutely. We are a big, big biking town. So you will see bikes all year round. We have a lot of fat tire bikes for the winter. We have a lot of trails for biking. So absolutely, lots of students bring bikes. However, we do have the locks and places on campus where a student can lock their bike, but they should bring a good lock for their bike. That's important. Thefts do happen, not routinely at all, but nonetheless, they should have a good lock for their bike. If it's a bike that needs storage during the winter, we do have winter storage for bikes.
The thing about winter storage is it goes in a day in November and it comes out a day in March, let's say, maybe it's April. They can't just go in and out with their bike. It's there to stay. And so for some students, they'd prefer keeping their bike in their room in case we have a mild winter, something like that. But we give all that information to the students that live on campus so that they're very aware of bike storage and what the situation is. Okay, my student hunts and would like to bring their gun with them. What is the protocol for having a firearm?
Students are allowed to bring firearms to campus, but they have to register them with public safety, and they leave them there with public safety. They have to be checked in and checked out. At no time are they allowed in the dorms or to be stored in a car or some other personal place. That's extremely important to talk to your student about and for them to understand, because the consequences of ignoring that are pretty significant. But I would say, a lot of people hunt, a lot of faculty hunt, a lot of students hunt, a lot of, so we're in the UP, so yeah, hunting is common up here, so.
Yeah, they just need to know that that's the first place they go with a weapon when they're coming back to campus, and it's the last place when they leave campus, so that they don't have their weapon anywhere but at public safety and off campus. Okay, there were a few questions about disability services. So do you have any suggestions for encouraging a student with an IEP to take advantage of academic support? This is often a concern for parents because we have students who will say, I just want to try it on my own. I want to see if I can do college without accommodations. That can really be a big mistake. I think they may be used to people knowing, they're taken out of a classroom to take a test, and so everybody knows there's something special about them for some reason. And when we do accommodations on a college campus, really people have no idea. The way that we have it operating, no one knows. The faculty member knows because, of course, they have to help us provide the accommodation. But they're the only ones that know. And they don't even know what the disability is. They just know that, for instance, they get time and a half for a test. So I always suggest that a student goes through the paperwork to be in the system with disability services. If they don't use it, that's absolutely fine. But the reason that's important to be in the system is that they could get halfway through the semester and say, oh my gosh, I really do need extra time on tests. And then it's easy because they're in the system, they've been approved, and it can happen quickly. If they're not into the system, it could be weeks before we get through, we get the paperwork, then we work through the paperwork, et cetera, and we work with the faculty. That can take a long time. And so I just think if you could talk to your student about just getting in the system, and then the decision's up to them once they've talked to us. That would be good. So that's my best advice if they're hesitant. What services are offered to students that may help during exams? So I'm being very honest here. I feel like every semester there's just more technology that makes it better for our students. When I first started working in student affairs, well, first of all, we weren't talking very much about disabilities, but when we started talking about disabilities, there were like 3 things that we could do. We could have somebody read the test, we could give you extra time. Maybe there were only 2 things that we could do. Now we have all this technology that students can use a pen and it reads the test to them. So there doesn't even need to be a proctor in the room. There are all kinds of things. So I can't go into any of the particulars of this because I just don't know it anymore. But we do help students with tests. Time and a half for tests is quite normal for certain disabilities. A scribe, if they have some kind of a disability where they can't write, we can have a student in there. But again, the technology is making some of that out of date. And what options are available for tutoring? Oh my gosh, there's so many options available for tutoring on this campus, and it's all free. So we have the All-Campus Tutoring Center, which provides one-on-one tutoring or group tutoring for all kinds of classes on campus. The students are well trained. The students provide the services. The students are very well trained. They have to have earned, I think it's at least a B in the course before they can tutor it. So we have that, but we also have a math lab, a language lab, a writing center, a computer science center. It just goes on and on with the options that are available to students. But the students need to ask for help before finals week. Because then it's too late for us to help. We really, our A students are often in the tutoring center week 1. And they're just getting that extra help that they think they might need in their hardest classes. Okay, health center. Does my student need to bring their insurance card?
Yes, they can bring their insurance card or they can bring a copy of their insurance card, but then they provide that to the health center. And that goes along with their vaccination records. Those also need to be supplied to the health center. And you actually can submit those online if you want to. They make it very, very easy for you.
And if you are in Michigan, there's a registry. And your son or daughter, or you really, could call the health center and say, my student received all of their vaccinations in Michigan, and they'll look it up online. And then you don't even have to provide anything. But they just need to know to do that. They don't look for every student in the registry. You just need to call and they're happy to do it. Who will have access to my student's health information?
Only the student and the clinician have access. If you were to want access, we can't give that to you unless the student gives you permission. Once they reach the age of 18 in Michigan, they are considered adults, and so they have to give us permission to give you information that is protected information.
Is there a clinic on campus for students to access?
Yes, we have a great health center on campus. Very easy access, easy to get appointments. Walk-in appointments are available. Prescriptions can be picked up there. We have 2 physicians and we have several nurse practitioners that work there, and lots of time for appointments. Faculty, staff, and students use our health center, as well as some of our retirees.
Okay, what mental health resources exist on campus?
We also have a great counseling center on campus, and it's located right now in a different spot than the health center, but it is very easy access. Again, counselors are widely available, and during the off hours, when counselors might not be available, we work with health advocates after hours so that students have 24/7 access to counseling. You might want to explain a little more about health advocates. And
Health Advocate is an outside agency that we contracted with last year because we were worried about our students who may not be coming to campus because of COVID, but still needed mental health resources. And so this company has counselors everywhere in the country, and so we decided that was important for our students, as well as crisis after-hour assistance. So students can call them, and by after hours, I mean after 5, because our counseling center is open 8 to 5. So after 5, students still have access. And that the counseling center, it's easy to access them. They will be, I think, I haven't seen the final decision, but I think they will be giving students the option of face-to-face or Zoom counseling, because we went totally to Zoom counseling for last year, and I think we found that a lot of students like that, and so we're gonna give students the option and see, so that they feel comfortable, because we want them to go for counseling if they feel the need. Okay, we have a bunch of miscellaneous stuff now, so I'll just read them, and whoever wants, we'll just go with it. Okay, so what is the #1 reason for freshmen dropping out of school?
The #1 reason is they're not connected. They feel isolated, they feel like they don't have friends, they haven't joined a club, so being not connected. However, a very close second is poor academic records, not doing well in classes. And I would like to say that our biggest dropout rate occurs during that first semester, and we know that. So we are very devoted and connected with those students during that first semester. We have a provost fellow who is fully engaged, and her big project is retention. And she's looking very carefully at students during that first semester. We know nothing breeds success like success. And if you can, a student getting through that first semester, everybody kind of goes, I think I like it now. Like I said, we have embedded advisors. The faculty are watching carefully. Talk with your student, give them a little dose of courage, let them know you believe in them, they can do it. The other thing that happens with students is sometimes they fail a test and they think they failed the whole class. That is not always the case. More often than not, that is not the case at all. And again, reaching out to your faculty member, making an appointment, going in to talk to your faculty member, almost always that helps, and helps a lot.
I remember Dr. Donovan from the physics department, he will often call me and say, why did this student drop my class? If he just would have talked to me, I would have let him know that this is how you get more points, and he could do it. Just one failed test was not the end. So the students really need to talk to their faculty members before they make a decision about dropping a course. So going along with that, Carrie, how can my student get involved with campus clubs?
They can go to the Center for Student Enrichment and find out all the available clubs, how you join a club, which they can get explanations about the different clubs with all their names. Like I said, we have over 300 student clubs. That's a lot.
That's a lot. And the interesting thing about our student organizations is that they're not cliquey. Sometimes in high school, there were all these clubs, but you couldn't really join because you weren't in the group already. And these organizations want your students to join them. They love it when they get new members. It's a badge of honor to get new members. And so we work really hard with our incoming students. We have something called the Hub, where they can go online and see all of these organizations. Contact information is on there for each organization. So it's really easy. The other thing that's really easy, in case they don't find something in all of those groups that they like, and they can start one of their own. And all it takes is 2 students and an advisor, and until they get up and running and can find their own advisor, a staff member in the Center for Student Enrichment will sign on to be their advisor. So we have students start their own clubs all the time. So that's something else if they don't find exactly what they want. So
I would also add, in the beginning, I was talking about some things that haven't changed. And what hasn't changed is how welcoming this campus community and our greater community is for our students. It's just absolutely incredible how welcoming, and so that goes right along. It isn't cliquey at all. They really put their arms around you. They want you to be part of all of it. You know, when the president first started here, I remember him saying he couldn't get over how he couldn't take 2 steps without somebody saying, "Hi, how are you? Oh, you're the new president." You know, it's an extremely, when you bring your student, you will see that a lot of businesses have welcome back NMU student banners hanging out. They really, truly mean that. So there are many, many opportunities. So if your student is a little nervous or hesitant, please try and encourage them to take that first step, because I know they'll be glad that you did.
The other place where they will feel very involved right away is in their residence hall. Yeah. The resident assistants work really hard to get all of their residents involved, getting to know each other, being involved in activities. I talked to a mom the other day who said that her daughter really is introverted, and she was afraid that she wouldn't put herself out there. And I said what you need to talk to her about is just saying yes. Every time somebody comes to her door and says, "Do you want to go out, down for dinner?" Yes. "Do you want to go out for a walk?" Yes. That's what they all need to learn to do, just say yes. And they'll feel so much more comfortable on campus if they do that. The first day of class, we have a huge event called Fall Fest. A bunch of, I'm not going to say all student orgs, but a lot of student orgs are there, as well as off-campus businesses and organizations are at this event. And there's free ice cream and free pizza, and we always get more free stuff from different businesses, but students should definitely go to that and put their names on some lists, you know, and they'll get called and they'll be a part of that group quicker than they can imagine. So that's always a fun event. How does a student join the marching band? I know how to. They can either contact the music department or they can tell their advisor, because marching band is a class. And they don't audition. So if they want to be in the marching band, it's honestly as simple as signing up for the class. So their advisor can help them do that. Will sporting events be open for students and parents to attend? Will there be limited capacity?
Right now, that's an absolute yes. We will have sporting events available, open tickets available, and right now there is no limit. We plan to be fully open in the fall. Unless we hear something different from the CDC, our plan is full speed ahead.
Great. What are the programs and/or facilities available for students to exercise?
Well, we have the PEIF, which stands for Physical Education Instructional Facility. It's been called the PEIF for years, so. It's right on campus. We also, right near the residence halls, we have, I think it's called the Fit Zone, right? Mm-hmm. So yes. We always laughed a little bit because students said they really wanted something that was closer than the PEIF, but you want to go exercise. But what we really recognized was they didn't have time to run down to the PEIF, so they wanted, you know, before they got to class or in between classes. So we made that available for them, and it's almost central for all of the residence halls. It's very cool, and I have to say, every time I walk by, it is being used.
Yeah,
so,
that was a great decision.
Yeah.
Okay, can my student work on campus? And there's some sub-questions there, Carrie.
Yes, absolutely, they can work on campus, and actually we like them to work on campus, so we're hoping they'll ask about working on campus. I always have 2 or 3 students that work in my office, and then we always threaten them that we won't let them graduate because we love having them so much. And so we've just had some really great opportunities for students, so we look forward to having them working in our office. They can look and apply for a job on campus, and there's a way to do that. Is that through Career Services?
Career Services, right? Their software is called Handshake.
Okay, so, yeah. And then, of course, students can work off campus. We have students working in various stores around town, restaurants, wait staff, so there's lots of opportunities. And of course, right now, post-COVID, there's a lot of opportunities for working. Yeah. So what I would say is remind them that they're here to study and get an education, and not work a gazillion hours no matter what, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
actually research shows that students who work up to 15 hours a week have a higher GPA than those who don't work at all, because they're much better at time management. But then once you get above 15 hours, it really starts to affect their GPAs. So 15 hours is kind of the sweet spot is for us. That's what we consider. Will campus be open for visits before the start of the semester?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's open now.
When will students get their laptop?
You get your laptop during check-in, and it's a very smooth process. We do it really well. They get a whole list. They have a ticket, and they go right through. They get registered. They get their laptop and get to their dorm room. Yeah, it's a very smooth process. Used to be lines and waiting in the line hours and hours, and not anymore. Not anymore. Mm-mm.
And the last question we have, Carrie, where can I find a schedule with events for the school year? Will there be in-person events? But you answered that one. But where can they find the events?
Online.
Yes.
Yep.
I just did it this morning because I wasn't sure, like how in the world. So I went on to NMU and Googled events calendar, and up it came. So that's all you need to do. Okay, thanks for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed it and are feeling a little better about leaving your student with us in August. If you have additional questions, remember to submit them at the orientation email, and someone on staff will respond as soon as possible. Okay, goodbye, and we'll see you in August.